Welcome back to The Dive. Our guest today is a uranium broker with 30 years of experience in the financial industry. He will deep dive into what's happening in the uranium market, including the 2015 Iran nuclear deal, countries looking for nuclear power, his thoughts on Cameco's Blind River Refinery situation, and if he thinks uranium could have a potential market squeeze. He is the CEO of Uranium Markets, LLC. Joe Kelly is joining us today. But before we bring Joe on, just a quick reminder to smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. Hey Joe, welcome back to The Dive.
Thanks, Cassandra. Thanks for having me on it.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming back. Okay, so this week, the 2015 Iran nuclear deal talks are set to resume. With Iran's atomic advances raising doubt, do you think a breakthrough can be made to bring Tehran and the United States back into full compliance with the accord? And what do you think this means for the uranium market if it happens?
Well, you know what? It's been talked about. Obviously, we receive a lot of publications, a lot of information and news on the uranium sector. I would say it probably has little to nothing to do with the uranium sector at all, the actual commodity and the peaceful generation of electricity, which is the sector of uranium that we deal in. So therefore, what this agreement would be a safety agreement for the planet where nuclear weapons would be more controlled. So I wouldn't say it has any effect at all on the uranium market at all. But as far as world peace goes, heck, if we could make alliances with everybody, that would be a good thing.
Definitely. Okay, so another question here. About 30 countries are considering planning or starting nuclear power programs. And these range from sophisticated economies to developing nations. Despite the large number of these emerging countries, how will this contribute to the expansion of nuclear capacity in the future?
Well, the forward view on the industry, it goes negative and positive. It goes up and down for this industry. It's a little strange that way, where all of a sudden everybody hates nuclear power. Everybody hates the nuclear anything. And all of a sudden now people are starting to like it again. The fact it creates dependable electricity without the emission of carbon into the atmosphere and helps with saving our planet from global warming will be viewed positively in every country that could possibly deal or have their electricity generated from nuclear. It's a long road to start your process of building a traditional nuclear power plant. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of commitment of capital. And before you actually generate your first megawatts of electricity, you're going to be years and years into that financial commitment. So getting started is hard. Optimistic is good. The view positive for our industry forward is helpful. Once again, that's two related questions about saving the planet. One, again, away from nuclear weapons, and this one would be about reducing the carbon emissions, which we certainly avoid in the generation of electricity in the nuclear industry.
Awesome. That's like what we like to hear. Okay, so Cameco's Blind River Refinery, the largest commercial uranium refinery in the world, is facing opposition from a nearby First Nation. The opposition came after asking for a third extension to its original contract with environmental groups that raised environmental and health concerns, as well as issues with the disturbance of indigenous graves. How do you think this impacts the overall uranium market?
Well, from what I understand, the indigenous people have a lot to say about this issue in Canada. It is concerning. All eyes are watching that because it is a significant amount of uranium that comes from that area, which could be delayed, postponed, or redirected if, in fact, they've got to shut down their facility there. So we are concerned about it. It is obviously a supply issue, and not a supply issue in a positive way, a supply issue in a negative way. So the way, if there is interruption or delay or cancellation or anything that might hinder the production, certainly that would be a supply issue. Less supply, demand remaining constant, or even going back to your last question with the potential of demand increasing, then that will be an upward movement of price if such a thing takes place.
Okay, so due to China's crypto banning, many have fled to neighboring countries, including Kazakhstan, and the country is now facing power shutdowns. Being one of the largest uranium deposits in the world and the world's largest uranium producer, do you think Kazakhstan has the potential of ramping up a nuclear power program?
Well, you know what? It's similar to the previous question, where it's going to take some time. Now, yes, they have the fuel, but the financial commitment, those years and years, those billions of dollars to create a traditional power plant, and who knows if the locations are adequate for that. Could they possibly create nuclear power plants in Kazakhstan? Certainly they have the fuel for it. They have the potential of uranium deposits within that area that could certainly power that plant. So I would say it would probably be a positive thing to look forward and say maybe we should, in our mix, electricity mix, we include nuclear in that. Certainly would benefit the industry itself. So therefore it would benefit me. So since it benefits me, I would say, hey, that would be a good thing if Kazakhstan started building some power plants.
All right, makes sense. Okay, so in September 2021, the biggest talking point was about the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. What are your thoughts today on the potential of a squeeze?
Well, there's a lot of parts of that question. I underestimated the influence of Sprott. They are the number one buyer in the spot market now by far. They have purchased more uranium than people thought existed in the uncommitted spot market. They've up to date, they bought about 20 million pounds of uranium, spent almost $1 billion on uranium from the spot market, which no one thought that quantity existed in the market. It's an interesting vehicle. It's the same position I think we've talked about in a previous program, where the one thing that's 100% certain is there is more money than there is uranium. So if the people decide to invest in uranium to try to consume all the available pounds and create what you're calling a squeeze, which is quite complicated because I've been in many markets before that have undergone squeezes on a regular basis, but we've never seen a squeeze. We've seen a shortage, but we've never seen a squeeze in a marketplace. What could be caused, what people are not expecting is delivery issues, the cost of not delivering pounds, and there are deliveries made to some folks that didn't even expect that they would not get delivered to. So the chain reaction of 6 different sales going into 6 different entities, creating false demand by having 6 entities looking to fulfill their 100,000 pounds, say, of uranium delivered, then that would be 600,000 pounds in demand that the market would perceive. So a squeeze could be a devastating thing to certainly the consumers, certainly a windfall for the producers, but it's certainly something everyone has to keep an eye on. And the size and scale of the supply in the spot market, based on what we've seen so far, is it possible? It's going to take a commitment of more money than I believe Sput or the investors in Sput ever expected. But if they do find the one thing that seems to be eluding every one of them, they're all looking for one thing. Do you know what that one thing is they're looking for? No. They're looking for the last pound available. And it's very, very hard to find that last pound of uranium available. They've spent $1 billion looking for it, and they still have not found it. But if they find it, then the market has to worry about a true squeeze in uranium.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so one more thing before we let you go here, Joe. For our viewers, where's the best place to be watching the action in the physical uranium market? Is there anything going on that we should know about?
The best place to watch the action in the physical uranium market is right here at Uranium Markets. We are real time. We just printed a deal just before we started recording this, which I privied you to the action. We had 2 traders located in different parts of the world have agreed on a 100,000 pound transaction at $45.75 to be delivered at the conversion facility in Port Hope, Kamikos facility up there in Canada. So we actually just brokered that transaction. So the real-time price and this is literally, and you know this, literally 3 minutes ago, well, maybe 5 minutes ago. I do elaborate
maybe now, yeah.
a little much time. Maybe it's 5 minutes ago. We just did that transaction, and the real-time price of uranium right now, don't listen to anybody else, what they tell you right now, because it happened here and just happened hot off the press, is $45.75, and we just did a transaction to back that. So the action in uranium takes place at Uranium Markets.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on the deal and getting it done. And thank you so much for coming on again, Joe, and sharing your expertise with us again.
Thanks. I hope I was helpful. See you guys later. Thanks for having me.
To our viewers at home, thank you so much for watching. We'll be back again tomorrow, so be sure to stay tuned by hitting that notification bell.